Imagine this. The best pasta sauce you have ever tasted sits abandoned on a plate. Wasted sauce. That is a tragedy. If only you had used Barilla al Bronzo pasta. Its bronze-cut texture holds your sauce and scoops up every last drop. The Italians call that scarpetta. Capture sauce the Italian way. Barilla al Bronzo. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
Hi, this is Francesca, co-host of Roots Music Rambler podcast. And if you have listened to even just one episode of our show, there's a good chance that you've heard me talk about my friend Lindsay. I met Lindsay about 7 years ago, thanks to our shared love of the same kind of music through a Facebook music group. We met at a Tyler Childers show at Shuba's in Chicago, and we just hit it off, right? It started off as like a casual, hey, you want to go to this show with me kind of situation, but it turned into, over the years, one of the strongest friendships of my adulthood. Lindsay knew my family. She got me through some really difficult times, and I always tried to provide the same amount and type of support for her over the years. On May 5th of this year, I learned that Lindsay passed away. I was and still am quite devastated and heartbroken and shocked and just kind of in a state of disbelief. I've been describing Lindsay lately as my ride or die, my wingman. There wasn't much in this world that Lindsay loved more than music and going to live shows. And she and I bonded over the music, and we made a ton more friends by going to shows and meeting local musicians and stuff. And, but underneath all of that, she was a very loyal and dedicated friend, and losing her is devastating. So as we're recording this at the end of May, Lindsay's been gone now for about a month, and I still haven't come to terms with that. But I did discuss with Jason just having the opportunity to say a couple words about Lindsay, because she was so important to me in my life, and also music was so important to her. And clearly it's important to Jason and me since we run this show. So I would like to dedicate this episode of Roots Music Rambler to the memory of Lindsay Woodward.
Whether you're picking and grinning, or just picking, or just grinning, grab a drink, pull up a seat. It's time for Roots Music Rambler. Turn it up. I can't tell you how excited I am for the next few weeks, because there's new music coming from a bunch of my favorite artists. And so I'm like, I almost have it on my calendar to go to Guest Room Records and line up and buy stuff for the next few weeks, which does not help my budget, of course, but my budget,
just gonna say,
my budget be damned, because we got new music coming up in the next few weeks from S.G. Goodman. And she talked about the start of this project when she was on the show, and she said it was going to be a while and it was going to be big. So that's coming up here in the next few weeks. Brent Cobb has got a new album out, and a couple of the singles that I've heard from it so far are like, he's gone really heavy rocking sound with this new album. So that's coming up. That's fucking awesome. Turnpike Troubadours just dropped a new one, and so that one's already out, and I've listened to it about 7 times already on the Spotify. I don't have the physical copy yet, but I'll get it soon, I'm sure.
I know you will.
Alison Krauss and Union Station's new album's out, first one in, I think, 14 years.
Really?
And they kicked off their tour here in Louisville. They started out at the Palace here in Louisville for this tour. I wasn't able to go that night, but that was awesome. And the two or three songs I've heard off of that are really good. Mountain Joy's got a new album coming out. Lucas Nelson's got a new album coming out. The Traveling McCourys have a new one coming out. Camp. Their new stuff is popping. That's good stuff right there.
I haven't listened to it yet.
There's just, I found that I'm looking at savingcountrymusic.com. I don't know them well, but I look at some of the articles from time to time. They have a most anticipated radar release list on their website for this year. So here's a couple of the others. I'm just going to scroll down the list real quick and pop the people that I recognize, or that I think the folks out there will recognize. See, I've got SG, I got Lucas. Is there anybody else on here that's Bandoliers? Over there?
Oh, yeah, Vandaliers, yes.
Coming up in June. Yeah.
They've dropped a couple of singles already.
Yeah. Robert Randolph, the pedal steel dude who
Yep.
Jimi Hendrix of the pedal steel. He's got
Robert Randolph and the Family Band.
Yep. Got a new one coming up. I mean, yeah. Wow. And it's May, so there's like 3 new records coming up before December from Charlie Crockett, because he shits went out over 6 weeks, right?
Or Zach Bryan.
Yeah, that's true. Some of those are coming up. So yeah.
Does Amethyst Kia have a new one coming?
I don't know. I don't see her on the list, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean,
okay. I feel like I read that.
She's been in a wheelhouse cranking out stuff lately, so that doesn't surprise me. Mary Shaping Carpenter's got a new one coming out. For those of you old school country fans.
Yeah.
I hate to say old school, because like she was country when I was like big in country when I was in my 20s and teens. And to say old school means I'm old, but I am old. So I guess
I mean, we are. I remember listening to her in college when I was first introduced to country music.
Yeah. So the Castellos have one coming up in the next couple of weeks here. Like, yeah, there's just some good music coming. So we're going to have a lot to talk about. And if we're lucky, maybe we'll get a couple of calls through to the PR teams and get some of them new recording artists folks here on the big show. That'd be kind of
That would be outstanding.
I would love that. Welcome to Roots Music Rambler. God, where have I been? Holy shit.
What you got in that cup there, Falls?
I'm about 6 in, apparently. That's what I sound like.
Oh,
Haley.
Shit.
Welcome to Roots Music Rambler. She's Frank.
And he's Falls.
And we're rambling on through the stories behind the music we love.
Yes, and today, talk about some music we love. We are talking with singer-songwriter Ben Chapman.
Woo!
His album, yes, Jason is totally fanboying. His album, Downbeat, has been out for a while now, but we think he's still one of those artists that's like on the verge of breaking out. He's from Lafayette, Georgia, which I learned I've been mispronouncing. But anyway, he's from Lafayette. Yeah, we all have. And, I'm a Yankee, so, just cut me some slack, okay? So he's also been compared to fellow Georgian Brent Cobb, who we've already mentioned, and we know Jason is a big fan of Brent Cobb as well.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comparison. The first time I heard Ben, my first thought was he sounds like Brent Cobb, which is a very good thing because I love Brent Cobb. I kept digging in more and more, and the more I learned about him and heard more of his music, the more I really, really like Ben Chapman. He's been a contract songwriter in Nashville for a few years now. Some of his songs have been recorded by Shelby Lynn, the Steel Woods, Flatland Cavalry, Muscadine Bloodline also have recorded some of his songs. Flatland Cavalry, by the way, quick aside, lead singer, I don't know his name, but he looks like a 3-year-old with a mustache. It's the most baby-faced adult human being I think I've ever laid eyes on.
Now I need to go to the Google.
I saw them at Railbird. I'm going to Google it because I have to identify him appropriately. I shouldn't have even started that without knowing what his name was. But Flatland Cavalry, the band, was the vocalist Cleto Cordero.
Okay.
I think, is that right? According to the old Wikipedia here. Cleto Cordero, singer. Yeah, that's him. He looks like he's 3 with a mustache. He's got the prettiest baby face of an adult human being with facial hair that I think I've ever seen. So you can go look up Cleto Cordero from Flatland Cavalry. I saw them at Railbird last summer. They're very good. Very good, very entertaining. I'd never heard of them until I saw them there. And I immediately was like, okay, let's add some of these folks to the playlist because this is good stuff. But anyway, sorry, a quick aside on the Flatland Cavalry there. But anyway, they've recorded one of Ben Chapman's songs. So there you go.
And there's the connection. So it's not like you were just off on a tangent for no reason. Right? And getting back to Ben Chapman, he's slowly building his own following for his music, and much in the pattern of like a Brent Cobb or Chris Stapleton. He's graduated from writing for other people to writing and performing his own songs. And one of his frequent co-writers is another favorite of ours, and that is Meg McCree.
That's right. The two actually recently married not too long ago after a long time dating. I actually saw them perform together back in December. I went to see Marcus King in Evansville with my son, Grant. We went out there, and we've talked about that a couple of times on the show. Meg was the opener, and I was like, oh, good. I've heard some of her songs. Mary Jane and Chardonnay is one of her songs. And I'm like, I
Oh, yeah.
really like her a lot. I'm glad she's opening up. And then she brought Ben along to basically play guitar and do some backup vocals for her Marcus King opener set. So I'm sitting there waiting on Meg McCree to come out, and everybody starts clapping, and I look up, and there's this red hat kind of bouncing across the stage, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Ben Chapman. And it took everything, all the power and will that I had in my body to not yell out like Downbeat and other Ben Chapman song, because I wasn't going to do that. I'm not rude. But like I was super excited to see Ben. I was very excited to see Meg, but it was like I got this like bonus prize because she brought Ben along, and they later got married, and Ben's going to share some news with us here on the show as well. So some good stuff coming up in this interview. He also talks about certain country singers in this episode, which is going to be fun for everybody to hear. So this is going to be fun. We connected there, and I've been working, for 5 months to get him on the show, and I'm super pumped he's here. So there you go.
And I kind of, tossed in my 2 cents when I saw Ben and Meg at Crossroads Acoustic Festival in Seymour, Indiana, back just last month in April. Seeing Ben and Meg on the lineup for the festival was a big draw for me, just because of your recommendations, Jason, and you talked about them so much and how much you like them. I'm like, well, shoot, we're gonna go. And then, of course, Leon Meitzen was on the bill, as well as Magnolia Boulevard, so I was sold. And then, of course, it fell during my spring break, so it was like perfect, right? Back to Ben and Meg, we are hoping that Meg is going to come on the show too.
That's
right?
true. I think we got Ben's calendar to sync up a little bit faster. I think we're trying to get Meg on the show. And of course, having the husband on the show, we're going to lean on him a little bit and get him to maybe help get Meg on the show as well. And I think let me make this declaration right now. I went back and forth Instagram message and emails with Ben for several months. And it wasn't until you met him and talked to him that he actually said, hey, let's do the show. So I think this is as much about you as it is about me, because he was just like, yeah, here's that weird guy I met in Evansville. And then you were like, hey, you remember that weird guy you met in Evansville? Well, I'm the co-host. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do the show. So
you seem normal.
I don't care how we got him on the show. I'm just glad he's on the show. And so I'm super.
Right. Well, hey, look at it this way. It was a total team effort.
There you go.
Right?
So these two, Ben and Meg, are the new generation's Nashville love story. I just hope they don't wind up like George and Tammy. They're more like Tim and Faith. I think that would be a little bit better formula.
Well, I have faith.
Yeah. No. Tim has faith. But I digress. It's time for a refill, so we'll take a quick break. Time for a refill. I don't need 7, but whatever.
No, I think I'm gonna have to cut you off, Jason.
All right, I'll go get some water. How about
That's
that?
good.
Can I do that? I'll do some water.
Hydrate.
I'll act like it's water. It's probably gonna be something else. But anyway, I gotta get something else to drink. So we're gonna take a quick break. Take a moment, if you will, to listen to more about the awesome sponsors that help make the show happen. Apparently, I can read when I've had 7 in me. When we come back, we're going to play the Downbeat with Ben Chapman. Don't go away. This is Roots Music Rambler.
This place gets scary after dark. Buying cocaine in the parking lot. It's a little too calm before the storm. Yeah, I'm breaking a sweat and it ain't even warm. Because I dodged another puddle in a wicked stare from the girl next door with a platinum hair. When you up this high, it's a long way down. Keep on flying, I won't hit the ground, and I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. 'Cause when the downbeat comes, everything's alright. Trying to make the best of another night. You never know what might ever come along. You might get lucky, sing your favorite song. Two cousins in a corner about to get in a fight over something about nothing. They can't get right. Damn beat comes, everything's alright. Damn beat comes, everything's alright, alright.
That is Downbeat, the title track from the album Downbeat from Ben Chapman. That is, Ben, that's your third solo album, I believe. I read somewhere this was the album where you set aside writing for other people a little bit and put a lot more focus into your own thing. Tell us a little bit about Downbeat and that album. Well, I guess I should also say welcome to the show. I just got right into it. I'm just really bossy, so welcome. And
I know.
No, dude, I'm so honored to be on, man. So glad y'all asked.
well, I can't tell you. I mean, I spent time in the preamble of the show, the introduction, talking about how we met in Evansville when you were there with Meg and Marcus King back in December.
Yeah.
And I just every day since then, I'm like, man, I got to get Ben on. Ben's got to be on the show. Ben's got to be on the show. So when we finally nailed this, I was like, yes, here we go.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.
Good stuff.
So glad I'm on.
So, all right, back to my question. Tell us about Downbeat. I believe I read somewhere where this was where you were like, okay, I've been writing for other people for long enough. I'm going to really hunker down on this. Is that accurate? And how'd that album kind of come through?
Yeah. And I, it's not like I stopped writing for other people during the time period that I was writing for the record, but I just started thinking of how I could, make a really clean and cohesive project. And I had a batch of songs that I was going to take down to Texas to a guy named Bo Bedford, if y'all have ever heard of him. He was in the Texas Gentleman and does a lot of stuff with Paul Cauthen and all that kind of stuff. Really love his work. But the guy that I was actually living with at the time, Aaron Ratier, he is really good friends with Anderson East. And he was like, hey, man, like, I think Anderson just built a studio in his backyard. And I'm sure he would want to, do some songs with you. And I was over the moon because I've always been an Anderson East fan. And so lo and behold, he texted me out of the blue one day because Aaron sent him my number. And he was like, hey, man, don't go to Texas. You can stay right here in Nashville and we can do this. And it was kind of off to the races after that. We used his studio band that he puts together. It's just the guys that he uses on the road, but they're all just A-class musicians and even better people. And it was just what you see is what you get. It was all live on the floor. And it was great.
Nice. And I think you may have said this too when I saw you in Seymour at the Crossroads Festival, that you describe your sound as country, bluesy, funky, southern rock thing.
Yeah. It's a mouthful, and it's like here in Nashville, they just want to put you in a box. And I went and had lunch with Channing Wilson today, another great songwriter and a guy from my hometown, kind of the guy who got me up to Nashville. And I was like, man, he was like, you know what? I don't know what to call it, what you do. And I was like, yeah, it's sometimes confusing. Some people just want to put the stamp on you of what you are. And I don't necessarily call myself a country artist because I love country, but I can't sing like Merle Haggard or croon a country song. But do I love honky tonk music? Hell yes. But I come from more of like the Leonard Skinner and the Allman Brothers. But then if you say I'm Southern rock, well, you get bunched into like this biker scene. And not that there's anything wrong with that. That's a great crowd to play for. But I don't necessarily want to play for one group of people my whole career. And I think there's just more options than they give us, and here in Nashville, it's like, well, you got to pick one, because if you don't, what are you doing? And I just want it to be music for everyone. It's kind of like the Grateful Dead. It was American music. It didn't have a genre. Americana is just this made up word that we all use, but it's just American music. It all comes from Leadbelly and Robert Johnson. And Robert Johnson is the sole creator of all pop melodies, and it's, what are the Beatles? They're a pop band, but they're a rock and roll band and a country band from London. They're from Liverpool, but you can't put a band like that in a box. And That's kind of how I explain it. It's a mouthful when people read that little snippet because I was high when somebody did the interview for me, and they were like, "What kind of music do you do?" There was somebody writing up my bio, and I was like, "Hell, I don't know. It's jam, country, southern rock," and it just stuck. And now everybody's like, "What does this mean?" And I'm like, "Hell, I don't know, but it's just music, you know."
And it's good
It
music.
is.
Thank
So,
thank you.
so I mentioned in the intro before we came in with you that the first time I heard you, and I think I told you this when I met you in Evansville. The first time I heard you, I immediately thought of Brent Cobb, who's a
Yeah.
fellow Georgia singer songwriter, and it's one of my favorites. I love Brent to death. I've seen him several times now live. So, is there something about that brand of or that blend of southern rock, funk, blues, country, maybe that we could call a Georgia sound, or is it bigger than that?
Yeah, man, and I think it's just because I mean, I'm not ashamed to say that yeah, especially when I first started out that I was really going for that Brent Cobb thing, but it's I think it's just because we like the same stuff. You know, he geeks out. You know, now he's one of my dear friends, and we were just writing this week when he was in town, and we always make fun of each other. You know, he always gives me shit about people say you sound just like me, and he's like, but if they listen to the music, you really don't. And I'm like, I know, but people hear the tenor in our voices and instantly go to, and I think it's just our Georgia accents coming out as we sing. I really can't help it, you know. But I think it's just having the same musical influences. You know, he grew up on Skinner and the Allman Brothers and really loves like Del and Glenn. There's this Delbert McClinton record that he did with a guy named Gene Clark back in like like 71 or 72. And it's just you can't find it anywhere. It's on YouTube or some shit like that. But it's one of those really obscure records that we just geeked out on, and Channing showed it to me, and Channing's kind of the guy who showed me all the cool music, and it just so happens it was all Brent's influences too. So there's a little similarity to it, but with this new record, I just made a new record, and it's weird. I can't wait to show everybody. It's definitely it'll take me out of that sound for sure,
Okay.
but not in a bad way. We're not departing from what I've tried to create, but it's a little more. I don't know, a little more like Pink Floyd.
Ooh.
Just
Oh.
really heavy guitar tones
Okay.
and a little trippier, but also some down home songwriting stuff that kind of sounds like that southern thing, that southern Georgia thing.
I'm sold. I'll take 10 copies now. So just on.
Heck yeah, man.
Nice. So you've mentioned Channing Wilson a couple times already, and we were looking to talk about him a little bit. So
Yeah.
he's also from Lafayette, Georgia, your hometown, right?
Yes.
And then is it true he told you that you could be a singer-songwriter, but you had to get to Nashville?
Yeah.
Okay, and so then that was when you were a teenager. So when did music really start for you? And when did you start writing your own songs?
I had always been into music. I was the music nerd in my family. I was coming home from middle school. You know, at my school, you were either played sports or you didn't, and to fit in, you had to play sports. And so I
I
would
know how
come
that
home.
is.
I would come home from my sports practice and change into my Jimi Hendrix tunic and play guitar all night long. And so I always had the bug, but it's just from growing up with my parents. They had such a great taste in music and still do, showing me Van Morrison, and that's my mom's favorite artist. And then my dad's favorites are, he loved like, you know, 70s, 80s country, not really 90s country, but 70s and 80s, and then he really loved like classic rock. So I just had the bug in me. And then on my own I found the Beatles and really fell in love with them. Literally listened to nothing but the Beatles for probably 6 years.
Wow.
So it was just from the time I was like in 5th grade till about freshman year of high school, I was a Beatles nerd. Like I have all the lunch boxes from the 60s, like all the records, all the LPs, all like the weird LPs that you can't find. Like I took pride in finding it all. But yeah, I always had the music bug. Sorry, I have ADHD, so I'm like a squirrel. But to get on
No, that's
question,
cool.
I found music really early and started playing guitar when I was probably 13 or 14. And then no one in my family really played, so it was just kind of all on my own doing, just having the bug and having the want to do it. And then I met Channing when I was about 16, and we played together one night at a 4th of July party is where we met. And he was like, man, you're cool, you're all right for 16. And he was like, I think do you write your own stuff? And I was like, no, I don't. He was like, well, you need to start writing your own stuff. And that's when I first started writing songs, about 16 or 17. And then our relationship grew over the years. And when I was about 19, he was like, you're not going to do anything here in Lafayette. He was like, you can go to work and make money, but you're not going to do anything with music. He's like, if you're going to take this serious, you need to move to Nashville or somewhere just to get a different experience. And so my 21st birthday, I moved to Nashville.
Very
So,
nice.
Wow.
That's good stuff. All right. If you're taking notes at home, here's what we got so far. Ben is a Beatles nerd, not necessarily surprising, but also a little bit surprising or something you wouldn't expect. Number 2, It's Lafayette, Georgia, despite the fact that other people pronounce it.
despite everywhere else, it's Lafayette.
It's Lafayette, or some people in Louisiana that I think they say Lafitte sometimes, but
Yeah.
Lafayette. And then and I have to at some point in my life see Ben Chapman in a Jimi Hendrix tunic. I need to see that at some
Thank
point.
you for saying that.
Dude, I still have them here at the house in Nashville. Oh, yeah.
I'm
Meg makes fun of them all the time.
I'm
We
gonna,
need that.
I'm going to pull up one day and knock on the door and say, I just want to see him in the tunic, and I'll leave y'all alone.
I just got to see the tunic.
That's good stuff. All right. We want to hear more of Ben's songs, so let's take a quick break and listen to a couple going in and out of the break. We're going to start off with the one that I believe was written by Meg McCree, his wife there, and we'll talk a little bit more about her when we come back. This song is called Don't You Dare. It's from Ben's album Downbeat, and this is Roots Music Rambler.
Sitting here as the sun goes down on our little back porch, I got to wonder who I am if I'm not yours. Damn near got it perfect. We've had our nights where we don't go to sleep until we make it all right. Yeah, you got me where you want me. I ain't going anywhere. So if you're thinking about breaking my heart, don't you dare. I can feel it in the air, hear it clear above the noise. It's like I can read your mind by the shaking in your voice. The old you would have cussed me up and down around the block. No, it ain't what you're saying, baby, it's what you're not. So cut all the ties, don't leave me no slack. If you tear out the drive, don't you dare look back. If you go and go on, leave me half broken hearted. If you ever go in, baby, finish what you started.
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. Ben Chapman is with us today, and that song was Finish What You Started from his album Downbeat. The album features several outstanding cuts, including a duet and a few songs co-written or written by his favorite collaborator. I'll just put those words in his mouth, Meg McCree, who is also his wife. And I think, Ben, double congratulations are in order, because not only did you guys just get married, but something pretty spectacular is coming in September, huh?
Yes, we are expecting a baby boy.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
We are over the moon.
That is,
But
should be.
Yep. Lot of blessings coming our way, but
Yeah.
yeah, you said it right, Jason. She is my favorite collaborator for sure,
Aw.
and favorite songwriter in Nashville by far.
And
And I'm just lucky enough to trick her into marrying me.
oh my goodness. It's so funny. So since we're talking about it, tell us how you two met, how you proposed. I think
Yeah.
I've heard the proposal story.
Oh, it was nothing special, but it's
Okay.
funny. It's funny, and but yeah, we met. We were dating for 6 years, and my years get lost up here. But we were dating for 6 years. We met at a writers round actually down on Broadway when I
Oh,
first
wow.
moved to town, and she was kind of one of my first co-writers, and she had a boyfriend at the time. So I just but I was always in love with her. Is from the first time that we got together. I was like, man, if I could be with her, I definitely would. And time went on, and we got together, and it's been kind of never looked back from there. But
So sweet.
yeah, it's been awesome. It's been awesome.
And so the proposal. Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's the good part. So she kind of knew something was up, and we've been talking about getting engaged for a while, and the pressure was on, to say the least. And she was we came in from a tough night somewhere. I don't remember where it was, and I was like, I was doing laundry, and I was like, Meg, get in here and bring your clothes in here. I was like, you just come in and lay down. It's like, we gotta get these clothes washed. And she comes walking around, and she's already pissed off from something. I don't know what it was, but she comes around the corner, and I'm waiting right in front of the fridge with a ring, down on one knee, and we just both break down crying, and it was, of course, she said yes. So, but
Spoiler.
but yeah, it was nothing special, but totally our style.
Sure. Oh, I love it.
That's awesome. Well, it was also Meg who was opening for Marcus King in Evansville back in December,
Yeah.
where that led you and I to meet, because you were there just kind of supporting her playing guitar and joining her on stage. And I remember I took my son with me, and so Grant and I are sitting there watching this, and I see this red hat walk out, and I'm like, fuck, that's Ben Chapman. Holy shit. Cause like I knew who both of you were, and I didn't expect to see you because you weren't on the bill. You were just kind of there with her.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
fortunately y'all came out to the merch tent area, and I was able to walk over and say, hey, I know you. It took everything I could muster to not scream out downbeat in the middle of her set. Like, I was so excited to see you. I was very excited to see her. That's who I went for,
Yeah.
her and Marcus. But like when I saw you, I was like, oh shit, I just got icing on this cake. This is awesome. So
It was
Man,
just
that's
a
awesome.
bonus, right?
good stuff.
And
Yeah.
Jason actually texted me that night from then. He sent pictures and stuff, and I was like, okay, yay. I want to be excited for you, but I'm not there. Yay. So then
It's like, damn it, why are you sending me pictures?
then when the lineup came out for Crossroads, and I saw your name and Meg's, and then some other favorites like Leon Meitzen, I texted Jason right away. I said, look, Tom and I are going. You're just not even an hour away.
Yeah, I couldn't make it.
Meet us up there. But he had other things going on, and that's totally understandable.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, that was a good time.
yeah.
I got to meet Leon, and he's such a cool guy.
He is very cool. He's way taller than you think he's going to be. But
Oh yeah.
But I think that night when you and Meg were playing there in Evansville, I believe she said that at the time anyway, you all lived in a house with a bunch of other singer-songwriters. Is that right? Tell us about the group of folks you guys kind of run around with in Nashville, because it sounds like a place we'd love to be a fly on the wall of.
Yeah. Well, we live in a house. It's kind of a quadplex, but it's a house from the 1930s, and we've lived here for about 5 years. I've lived here for about 5 years. Meg's lived here for about 2 years, and then we've had a whole array of roommates and other tenants here. Like we've had Ashley Monroe upstairs writing songs for the past 4 years, and our old roommate was Aaron Ratier, and he recently moved out, and then Channing Wilson took his place because Channing lives in Lafayette, but uses the room when he's up here. And Lucas Nelson does the same. He's got a couple other places that he stays, but when he's in Nashville, he stays here at the house. So when everybody's here, it's a huge get together and a family reunion, and it's just we'll play a lot of songs and write a lot of songs, and so it's always good to hear and so inspiring to hear music coming through the walls. So
Yeah, that sounds like I mean, for music nerds like us, because I have absolutely no discernible talent other than I can talk, but I love music and love Americana music, the kind of music we talk about on this show. And I know Frank's the same way. I mean, if we just walked in and sat down and sat in the corner and just listened for a couple hours, it would be like a crazy dream for us. That'd be very cool.
Truly.
Oh,
And then
man.
speaking of collaborations, we know that you and Meg also collaborated with Britt Taylor, who's a friend of the show,
Yeah.
and Adam Chaffins, right?
Yeah.
And the song Gone As It Gets, which, by the way, I love. And before and after Crossroads, that song was in my head nonstop. So anyway, great song. And then how did that collaboration come about? Was it because of the house, the living situation?
Well, we've been friends with Britt and Adam for probably 3 years, and we've just respected them so much, and it's just kind of a mutual appreciation for each other, and we started writing a lot together, and a friendship just hit off. It was like we've known each other for forever, and we were like, let's put this song out. We wrote it one night at their house about 9 o'clock, and didn't finish it till about 1 o'clock in the morning, and we got done with it, and we were like, let's just do this. Let's put this out ASAP. So we went to Meg's producer, and he did it for us, but we just recently did a whole record with them, and it's gonna be out probably early next year sometime. But I think it's 10 songs we got done. So yeah,
That's
so it's gonna be
exciting.
really, really
Cool.
cool.
It's very awesome. Now, I mean, not only is Britt a friend of the show, which is what we call people who have been on the show. I went and interviewed her
Yeah.
before a set at the Burl one night in Lexington, Kentucky. And Adam was, of course, there because he plays bass in her band, or did at the time.
Yeah.
No, he's got a solo project that's just launched too, so I'm looking forward to getting up with him. But so Britt Taylor, it was born in Pikeville, Kentucky, which is my hometown. So
No
Britt
way.
and I have that connection. It's also the hometown of Dwight Yoakam and Patty Loveless, but Britt and I are born in the same hometown, from the same town. I wasn't born there, but I lived there growing up. And then Adam went to Morehead State, which is my undergraduate alma mater. So I feel like I feel like I'm almost related to them, even though I've only met them once, and they probably think I'm dork.
Y'all kidding?
That's awesome.
We're not kidding.
Small world.
Yeah, we're not.
Hey,
we're not
Kentucky's a small world.
It is. It is. A lot of people here. It's kind of funny. I've got tons of stories about running into random people, and while I'm standing there talking to them, somebody else who we know is in the circle of musicians and artists walks in the room just randomly, and it's just bizarre sometimes how that happens in Kentucky. But I guess it is a small world. So I want to know a little bit more about how you landed your writing contract, because a lot of people go to Nashville and they never get a publishing deal. They never get signed. You show up in your early 20s and are cranking out songs with a deal. It almost seemed like right away. How did you get in? And I assume then the folks that, you wound up hanging out with were all in that same kind of boat, in that kind of new writers in town looking for collaboration.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it in Nashville, it's about, I don't know, 40% talent and 60% luck. But I got super lucky. Meg and I, we were playing at a place called the Listening Room Cafe, and it's here in Nashville. And a guy named Jake Gear was in the crowd, and he came up to me after and was like, "Hey man, you like Guy Clark, don't you?" And I was like, "Love Guy Clark." I was like, "That's my hero." And he was like, "Well, man, come by my office. I'm at BMG, and just come by one day." And so I went over there the next day, and he was like, "Man, don't sign here. I'm about to start a new company with a girl named Hillary Lindsay." And Hillary Lindsay's another songwriting hero of mine, and I knew exactly who she was. And when he said that, I was like, "Okay, I'll wait. Whatever you want me to do." And we signed there about 4 years ago. So it's been great, man. And it's a sister company with Concord. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. But we recently just got out of those deals, and that they're awesome companies, but we're going to go in a different direction. But it's some of the best folks in town.
Nice.
I like what you said, 40% talent, 60% luck. And maybe
Well,
percentage.
in today's world and commercial country music, it's 5% talent and 95% social media.
You
Yeah.
said it, not I.
Oh, you can put that out there.
Oh, heck yeah. And
will.
I don't know that Jason and I
Yeah.
would disagree. You know, you're far more entrenched than we are. Like Jason said, we're just music nerds. We're just out on the periphery, you know? So from writing songs for others to writing songs for yourself, when you look at people like Brent Cobb, Chris Stapleton, and all these other success stories, it seems like you are on the right path and we love your music and we're excited for your future and for Meg's and your baby boys. So tell our listeners how and where we can find all your stuff online. Where do they go for some Ben Chapman?
Every social media outlet is Ben Chapman Music, and then I have a website, and I think it's just benchapmanmusic.com, and that'll lead you kind of everywhere. We're on YouTube and anywhere you want to find us.
Wherever you get your good music on the interwebs, there you're going to find the Ben Chapman.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
the latest album is called Downbeat from Ben Chapman. He's obviously teased a couple more projects coming out soon, so we're going to have to keep an eye on all that because we know we're going to gobble that up. We'll have links to Downbeat and his website for tour dates and all that in our show notes at rootsmusicrambler.com. Ben, thank you so much for hanging with us. I can only ask one more thing of you, my friend. Convince Meg we're a good hang because we need to get Meg on the show too. So
Hey, I will. I'll be like, what the hell are you doing?
yeah, exactly.
No, she's got mama brain right now, so she's like all haywire.
Oh yeah.
Don't doubt.
I know how that goes.
But I when I talked to you back,
I will spread the message.
I appreciate that because the night I asked you to be on the show in Evansville, I asked her too, and I definitely want to have her on the show as well.
She's hard to track down.
Well, yeah,
Believe me, I know.
nice. All right, let's go to a break with Georgia Dreamin' from the Georgia Kid, Ben Chapman. Stick around for the Pickin' the Grinnin' segment. This is Roots Music Ramble.
We're country princess, city road. All of this concrete gathers, missing home. Just a wildflower that's trying to grow through the cracks to the light. Well, Georgia dreaming takes her back in time to a secret place where the kudzu owns every single acre that her daddy sold. It's been a while since she's gone. Georgia dreaming. Ooh.
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. Holy smokes, Ben Chapman. I tell you what, I probably fanboyed a little bit during the show this time, but I really, really dig Ben and his music. And I love Meg too, and I hope we can get her on the show because they're just good people and I love their music. So I'm very happy.
We're probably going to have to get Meg on before September.
Yeah, she probably made a little
She
bit.
might have, she's going to have her hands full, you know, and Ben too.
Yeah.
So
maybe we'll get lucky and she'll come on the show after September and we will be the worldwide debut of their son. So who knows?
oh my goodness.
That's probably wishful thinking.
Yeah, but it's cute.
And, you know, new parents probably, they don't have kids yet. So this is their first. So they'll be like, no media and whatever.
Right.
It'll be fine. Oh, man, I really shouldn't have had that seventh drink. All right. So it's time for the Pickin' the Grinnin' segment. This is the part of the program where Francesca and I pick an artist or an album or a genre or a movie or whatever the hell we're picking that's making us grin. It's our way of recommending new stuff or even old stuff to go back and revisit to you. And so I think last time on the big program, I made you go first, which I frequently do. So I will go first this time. And my Pickin' the Grinnin' is coming up in just a second. I had a page up here so I could tell you more about them. And apparently I've lost it. No, here it is. My Pickin' the Grinnin' this is a new one. This is an artist that I just discovered this week. It was a shout out to Alex at inmusicwetrust.com, which is a website where you can get free MP3s of independent artists and whatnot, but they also have a publicity arm and whatnot. So Alex reached out to me and said, you guys should check out Rooster Blackspur. And Rooster Blackspur she's got an album out now called Nashville, the Cinderella Sessions. She's got 2 or 3 albums out already, but this latest one from Rooster Blackspur I've listened to today, and it's really, really good. And Rooster, this is a female vocalist, singer, songwriter named Rooster. So automatically I'm like, yeah, we got to have her on the show because I'm going to find out if it's like a real name or a nickname. But anyway, she grew up in the Alaska wilderness. And so already the name, she grew up in the Alaska wilderness. We got to know more about this person. But what I've done so far for the Pickin' the Grinnin' segment is I've listened to about 15 or 20 of her songs. And this album, the Nashville, the Cinderella Sessions, really, really good stuff. Good songs, good, crisp, sound, great band behind her, good songwriting. Her voice is really interesting. And so Rooster Blackspur is who I'm picking this week for you to go check out. Probably the first time in a long time I've pulled a relatively new artist out that I hadn't really even heard of until recently. And so I'm excited about having you all out there in listener land go check her out and tell us what you think about Rooster. Rooster Blackspur is my Pickin' the Grinnin' this week. What you got, Frank?
Wow. Okay. I was just looking up Rooster as you were talking, and yeah, I am very much intrigued. And excuse me, she seems like a cool cat, like somebody we would totally hang out with.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's work on that. Okay. So my pick this week isn't anyone we haven't heard of, but this artist has been in the news lately, and this is more of a commentary than a recommendation, right? And maybe this will irritate some people, and I guess that's just the world that we live in. But yeah, so my pick this week, I'm going to go with the one that got me started on the singer-songwriter, got me interested in this whole genre, and that is the one and only Bruce Springsteen. And if you've been following the news, and maybe if you haven't, but you just didn't have a choice, you heard about how the boss kind of went on a little bit of a rant during a show overseas. And of course, there are plenty of people on one side who are applauding everything that he said and agreeing with him. And then there are just as many, if not more, on the other side saying that he should just shut up and sing. Yeah. No, we don't want to go to a concert and hear about dude's politics. And if I'm paying a shit ton of money to see him, I just want to see the music, hear the music, and see him perform. I don't want to hear all this commentary. And my response to that is, have you heard Born in the USA? Okay. It like Sweet Home Alabama and other songs that, of course, I can't think of right now. That is not like a love song to America. That is not a patriotic song. Is it against America? No. But Bruce wrote that from a place where, like in 1984, when that album was released, the Vietnam War had ended less than a decade before that. Yeah. And you think about Vietnam and how it was just awful, and my dad was drafted in the Vietnam era. He was never sent over there, but he did still serve in the army, and he talked about it and just about all the friends that he'd lost. And, we even have family friends who lost family members, so And then the whole thing was just horrific for the American soldiers. And there were plenty of soldiers from other countries that were there that were killed or severely injured. And then the Vietnamese people that, lived there, right? Like they suffered tremendously too. But Bruce took this, he saw it from the point of view as like the returning veteran, and how nobody cared for the veterans when they came back and how they were spit on. And my dad told the same stories. And I've talked to other veterans who experienced the same thing. So it wasn't like, screw you, America, nor was it like America's the best. It was like, hey, America, I love you, but we got some problems and we need to talk about it. And that's where he's still coming from, at least from my perspective. And, the big baby that's in the office at the White House doesn't like it when people say mean things about him. So, he's launched this whole tirade against Bruce and whatever. I'm not even going to dedicate any more of my time or breath to that man. But, if you are mad about what Bruce Springsteen said and you think he should just shut up and sing, then you don't know anything about Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, if you flip the coins, you go to any of these bro country concerts these days, and there's plenty of politics being thrown out there.
Oh, for sure. But that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
But that's okay. Like when Morgan Wallen walked off the stage of SNL, and he's like, get me back to God's country.
Yeah.
Okay, Morgan. Okay. You mean where the white people are.
Exactly. Here are the two kind of things that I think are really amusing about this story, this controversy. And I appreciate your pick. I just listened to Nebraska not long ago, actually, and love Bruce. So two things. I don't know if you're aware of Mouthpiece Barbie, the press secretary lady, whatever her name is. But Mouthpiece Barbie apparently has declared it illegal. And this may have been from a site that is like The Onion, but I don't think it was. I think this was something she actually said. It's illegal to call someone the boss if they're not the president of the United States or something like that, which is absolute 1,000% horse shit. That is
what about Boss Hogg?
That is not illegal. But here's what I would also say in return. If you want to know what a boss is, how to be the boss, you do what the boss did, which is, in light of all of this controversy, he dropped a surprise 4-track live EP, Land of Hope and Dreams, which captured that May 14th concert that the Orange Cheeto Man was all upset about in Manchester, England, as part of Bruce Springsteen's European tour. So he recorded the stuff that pissed the dude off and dropped it as a fucking EP. That's a boss move. And so I will call him the boss. And if you want to come put me in jail, mannequin Mouthpiece Barbie, fucking come put me in jail. I dare you.
Yeah. So, yeah, me too. Man.
There you go. All right.
Okay.
That's about as political as we'll get on this show. But sometimes
it's pretty political.
Sometimes
it's necessary.
It's got to be said sometimes. So anyway.
For sure.
And if there's anybody out there who doesn't like our politics, that's fine. You can have that opinion. Don't listen to this show. We don't give a fuck. So there you have it.
Zero fucks.
We're given. All right. But we had Ben Chapman on. It's so fucking cool. Rich Music Rambler is a production of Falls and Partners. Copyright 2025. Our theme music is Sheepskin and Beeswax by Gentacorum. Join us online at rootsmusicrambler.com. Make sure you mash that subscribe or follow button so you remember to join us for the next Hoe-Down and Throwdown. She's Frank.
And he's Falls.
Whatever you do, kids, ramble on.